Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bambino Gesù Children's Hospital. It's my pleasure to welcome you here. This is one of the most ancient hospitals for children in Europe, actually, and you will find a lot of interesting things in the story of this hospital if you have time to read some information about that. This hospital is also receiving a number of attentions because it's very much under the radar from people that cannot access directly quality care actually in their own country. We receive a lot of requests, for example, from neighbor countries with difficulties, for example, for treating severe diseases. You will find walking inside the hospital several parents going around and several children. They're usually playing when they can, but we have nearly 500 beds in this location, which is a very high number for actually with a high density. This is a very tiny hospital with a lot of people. Well, one of the interesting things is that this is actually one public hospital, but is owned by the Vatican. And so this mix of competencies and this integration results in a very special result. I'm honored to be here since the last 20 years, and I really had the most important opportunities in my career for not only being a character in clinical activities, but also in research. And that's why you're here, because actually we have the opportunity today and tomorrow to discuss of one of the most complex things that became very evident in the last years. So how to integrate ethics with research, with technology, with advancements in technologies that may actually improve the quality of life and the quality of care, but at the same time pose incredible challenges from the ethics point of view. So that's why you're here. So I hope you will enjoy. I will give you some housekeeping information later on, but let me introduce Monsignor Paglia, who is, well, the most, we're waiting for him actually all the times, and I'm very happy to have him addressing the conference with a few words. Monsignor Paglia, thank you.
Thank you. Dear friends, I am pleased to extend my warmest greetings to all present here in Rome and to all those connected online. In a special way, I would like to thank the speakers for their generous willingness to share the fruits of their efforts and investigations. The Pontifical Academy for Life is very pleased with the collaboration that has been established to organize these 2 days of work with the Molecular System Engineering, the University of Basel, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich, and the Bambino Gesù Hospital in Rome, which is kindly hosting this year's conference. I see it as a very positive fact that this conference is now in its second year, because that is exactly what we are aiming for again as an academy. That is, the academy cares not only about organized events, however prestigious and interesting they may be, but about a compelling process that explores in depth the meaning of phenomena and thus also have a formative impact. And for this to happen, it is necessary to reflect on the scope of our research, the innovations that change social relations and the way of life. This is why we are pleased to commit ourselves together with other such prestigious institutions to provide spaces where competent and open discussion can take place. We intend to establish a dialogue between not only different scientific disciplines, but also with humanistic knowledge, humanities, also making use of the resources that the Greek religious tradition can offer. We are convinced that only in this way can we promote a fruitful understanding between science and society. Indeed, there is a clear risk that scientific research and technological innovation will be experienced in a magical, authentic way, sometimes even so, when what Pope Francis called technocratic hegemony is realized in Laudato Si. Avoiding this requires, on the one hand, that we all become more aware of the potential and limits of technoscience, and on the other, that scientific research not be governed only by market or control logics. It is essential to listen to people's needs, offering one's contribution to a human development that takes into account all aspects of personal and social living, that is what we call integral human development. In wishing you to keep this perspective in mind with determination and seriousness, I sincerely wish you a fruitful time of exchange and a common reflection which can have positive spin-offs for the good of the entire human family. Thank you and buon lavoro per questi giorni.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and guests, it's my great pleasure on behalf of the National Center of Competence in Research, Molecular Systems Engineering in Switzerland to welcome you all to our ethics conference here in Rome. I'm really excited about it, and I'm very much looking forward to discussing with you in the coming days the ethical dimensions of a field that many have described as the emerging field of engineering life. I believe this is indeed one of the most profound questions of our time. How should we responsibly navigate the frontiers of engineering life? I would like to begin by focusing on an essential concept that is central to our discussions here and has been a matter of ethical debate in our consortium in Switzerland over the past decade, the concept of knowledge. Knowledge in science and beyond is often assumed to be inherently valuable and good. But is it? Is knowledge inherently valuable and good? Perhaps even harmless? And if it's not, what are we going to do with it? Who should decide? Who should take over responsibility? Our ancestors have asked similar questions, capturing their concerns in myths and stories that continue to resonate even today. Perhaps the most iconic is the story of the Tree of Knowledge from Genesis. In this story, as all of you probably know, the forbidden fruit is a symbol of knowledge. Knowledge that Adam and Eve were warned not to seek. And the consequences of ignoring this warning were profound, impacting not only them, but all of humankind. The implication of this story often have been interpreted as a cautionary tale about boundaries, boundaries that once crossed can bring unforeseen consequences. Another fascinating old story is Plato's myth of Protagoras, where he also talks about boundaries and the consequences of forbidden knowledge finding its way. Prometheus, when he had stolen fire from the gods, along with the knowledge that came with it, and he gave it to humanity, he empowered us with the means for growth, but he also risked our destruction. And the gods realized that the availability of such knowledge and the ability to use and abuse fire would lead to disorder and to chaos and to destruction. So Zeus commanded that we receive ordering principles or virtues, namely eidos, which is a sense of shame and reverence, and dike, a sense of justice. And his messenger Hermes, who was supposed to bring these virtues to mankind, he needed some clarification, and so he asked Zeus, how do you want me to impart these ordering principles? To a few only, as is the case in the arts, or to all? In other words, is it not enough to give these principles to a few experts, who then can take care of it and instruct the people? And Zeus answered in what has become known as Plato's highly acclaimed anthropological declaration that all men are equally talented to decide on issues of justice in the community. And he said, I should like them all to have a share, for cities cannot exist if only a few share in the virtues as in the arts. So these virtues, these ordering principles must belong to all humanity, not just a select few or a privileged group of experts. They are universal to be shared among all people. Society as a whole must take part in the responsibility for knowledge if civilization is to flourish and to survive. I believe this message is very relevant to our discussion over the next coming 2 days. Just as Plato's myth suggests that virtues cannot be confined to a few, our discourse here in this conference on the ethical challenges of engineering life must reach beyond the walls of our philosophical and theological lecture halls. It must reach beyond the walls of our laboratories and the specialized knowledge of scientific expertise. In a way, this conference serves as a living blueprint for this ideal, where representatives from various groups, sciences, academic disciplines, organizations and schools, religions, come together and join hands with the interested public, jointly exploring the ethical boundaries, implications, and responsibilities of engineering life. Building bridges of communication and enabling all interested parties to participate in the discourse on an equal footing, with each voice counting as one, is, in my view, a central task and a responsibility of everyone involved in the field of engineering life, particularly the scientific community. To navigate the ethical waters, we all must be open, transparent, humble in our dialogue with the world. We must make a conscious effort to demystify our work, to explain not only our goals, but the ethical dilemmas we face, and to listen. As we proceed with our program, let us keep in mind that each new insight, each debate, and each presentation serves not only as a pursuit of knowledge, but the cultivation of understanding, of empathy and respect. In 1930, the renowned German mathematician David Hilbert famously stated, "Wir müssen wissen, wir werden wissen." We must know, we will know. So this idea of unlimited knowledge still echoes in today's scientific world. But even if this were true, and I must admit I have my doubts, it would leave several crucial questions unanswered. What are we going to do with that knowledge? How should we apply it? Who is entitled to make decisions? How will this shape not only our future, but the ethical boundaries we live by? So these questions remind us that knowledge alone is not enough. What really matters is how we choose to use it and what our commonly shared ordering principles and virtues are. In closing, I invite all of you, all of us as participants in this conference here in Rome and online to join us in this framework for discussion. Thank you all for being here once again on behalf of the NCCR Molecular Systems Engineering in Switzerland, and of course our partners, the Pontifical Academy for Life in Rome and the Bambino Gesù Hospital. Welcome to the second International Conference, Ethics of Engineering Life.
So after the welcome note by Monsignor Paglia and this important introduction by Ralph Stucchi, I think that we have more or less the perspective of this second conference. And it is really an original idea, project, because it is the opportunity of a strong dialogue, interaction, and an approach that try to combine science, technology, but also philosophy, theology, ethics, religions, and so to create really a bridge of understanding and cooperation to see in which way we are able try to answer the many questions that Ralph also presented about the power of technology, the new responsibilities, the new guidelines or ethical guidelines about the new perspective that we have. So we start this second conference, and it was really a challenge the first 2 years ago, because it was immediately after the pandemic. It was planned before the pandemic, but we had to postpone. At the end, we were able to organize the meeting, and it was very useful, very positive, very interesting. And so also as a Chancellor of the Pontifical Academy for Life, I appreciate a lot the cooperation among the University of Basel and NCCR Molecular System Engineering and the Children's Hospital to organize the second edition. And many thanks again to all speakers and moderators and all people involved in preparing and organizing and now to participate in the discussion of the conference. We have also many, is more than 250 people online participating. Of course, there is also the problem of time because many are from the United States, and so probably during the night. And but we have many participation also for that. It is a very good result of a lot of interest about the topics, but also, I repeat, the style, the approach of our meeting.